They have made a shit ton of music together, and it makes people cry.
The litmus test is whether or not it fucks us up too.
We didn't talk about Devin's voice yet. Small studio, and he fills up the room, like everything vibrates.
Annie's got a strength to her voice that's so clean. The power of it that cuts through the heavy music is not because she's screaming, not because she's distorted, just because it's like a laser beam.
We know that it's only love.
You've talked a lot about loving Enya.
Trying to put a mental image of Enya's castle, it just smells like piss. It's like, there's like 300 cats in there, litter boxes upside down.
She only listens to black metal.
Annie and I have been connected on some other plane.
Devin, you are very honest about your feelings and about what you go through, and there's almost no filter, which is great because it's great because there's no shame and there's no taboos.
I sing better when Annie's on stage.
The We Wreck Records podcast.
Hello, welcome to We Wreck Records, a show all about the music that moves the needle in music and the artists who make it. Today we have two very special guests. Devin Townsend, a man who needs no introduction, who has written 12 zillion albums, done all sorts of majestic, wonderful, progressive, heavy metal, theatrical, spectacular things. He's done a lot of things. That was a short summary. And Anneke van, I can say your last name, Giersbergen, who is an incredible vocalist, another artist who has made an amazing swathe of things, done amazing things for the band The Gathering and as a solo artist. And together, they have made a shit ton of music together. So welcome to you both. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Well, you've done some cool stuff, and it makes people cry, and me too.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
As long as people are sad, I'm happy.
People cry. They really do, and it's a good thing. It's good to cry sometimes. Speaking about crying, so like Retinal Circus, you guys did together, which was an amazing live concert film with orchestral things and circuses and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I was watching Grace on YouTube and cried twice. Like it wasn't even normal. Like I went and put it on, and then like the next day I put it on and I cried again. And I was like, well, if it's doing this to us, what does it feel like to be you guys? What does it feel like to like perform together? And what's your internal experience of this?
Well, I have to butt in a little bit because we did this together, but no, I was a guest on his, on this, and on his many albums, I'm guesting. So I'm also crying when I hear Devin's music, and I'm always super happy to be invited and to sing on his wonderful songs. So Devin, yes.
Well, I think crying is a litmus test for whether or not it's going to work, because I've always been of the assumption that you're not responsible for the music, you're just a conduit for it. So if you're doing it properly, you're speaking, you're trying to access something that's beyond us. And so if it makes me react in an emotional way, then that's the indicator that it's going to do the same to some other people who are wired similar, right? But at the end of it, there's no agenda there. It's not like you're trying to elicit emotional reactions from anybody. You're just trying to put into sound something that's you can't translate through vocabulary, I guess, right? But yeah, the litmus test is whether or not it fucks us up too, right?
This show is presented by Grillo's Pickles. Grillo's Pickles make the freshest, crunchiest, most delicious pickles. And even if you're not a pickle fan, you should try Grillo's today. Why not? Live a little. You can find them in the refrigerated section of your local grocery store, so chill out and eat a pickle. This show is proudly presented by DistroKid, and we have a special deal for all the musicians out there looking to release their new music fast. DistroKid helps over 2 million musicians around the world release on all major music streaming platforms and YouTube. You keep 100% of your earnings, can access a huge range of features, and if you like this show, Support this show by taking advantage of this incredible offer, 30% off your first year with DistroKid. Just head to distrokid.com/VIP/WeWreckRecords.
You guys have recorded a lot of stuff. I don't know whether it's always been in person or whether it's been remote or whatever. Is there a particular moment historically that comes to mind where you were feeling pretty overcome by what you guys were doing together? Like, have you, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, sorry, Annie, I don't know if you wanted to say something first. Feel
No,
free.
go ahead.
Well, we've had the opportunity to record separate and together on basically equal amount of occasions. And there was one where Annie came to Vancouver twice, and on the second time we did Epicloud, I believe. And when she sang the song Angel, I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, okay, that does the thing." And even though you refer to yourself as simply a guest, Annie, I would have to contest that and just say that the power that comes out of you is something that magnifies anything that I do. So
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's yeah, that's amazing coming from you. I think what you said about when you kind of connect in a certain way, making music is sometimes it's and writing lyrics is our way of thinking out loud and kind of deal with you just express how you feel and what you're thinking about, what you go through. And a lot of people are going through the same things, right? It's just life. And that's when Devin and I found each other, like we knew of each other and of each other's music. We were at one point even label mates and so on. We kind of like, even though we didn't know each other, we kind of felt like, I think if we do come together, we can share this, and we can magnify our thoughts together. And it has. I remember the first time when I remember when we met for the first time. I was doing a cover of Ziltoid's song. What's it called again? Hyperdrive. And I made there was a cool video on YouTube of me and my band playing Hyperdrive in Chile, in Santiago. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to show Devin? And we didn't know each other. We have never met. I thought, but I love Devin and his music. And I thought, yeah, if I can show him this and just tell him like, your music is cool. So I knew nobody who knew Devin but one person of our record company, and I sent him an email with this YouTube link, and I said to him, like, can you share this with Devin, because I just wanted him to see it. And then he said, and he's a German guy, and he said, yes, I can. I am in Oslo, and Devin is sitting right next to me because you were on an interview trip or whatnot. So, all these little things and coincidences, and it just felt right. And then he invited me to do this album, Addicted. And so we met in Vancouver then for the first time.
I remember thinking, one of the reasons why I thought that we would be able to work together and get along is because you weren't frightened away by the the sort of urgent nature of me writing. I'm like, oh, you got to come to Vancouver now. You have to do this record now. And we had never met. She had just sent a video through a friend, and I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, so when are you available? And she's like, oh,
that's the
she's
dream.
like, I just had a kid, and I was like, so do we. And the whole process just started from our relationship sort of being predicated on being new, confused parents in a sense. But for me, the whole purpose of being able to write the music that we do also, more than anything else, is about the experience of being human. And as a male, I can summarize half of that. You know what I mean? So
that's why you need the other the light side, the light and the darker side of the force.
Well, but I don't even know if it's light and dark. It's just kind of like the
No, with the light and the
voice.
dark.
Oh yeah. The voice is going to resonate with a different sort of emotional nuance, depending on which gender is singing the part. So, to have the strength of a female voice in a way that there's, I can replicate it with like shitty falsetto or whatever, but to actually have it legitimately like done, but with like Annie's got a strength to her voice that's so clean. So it's like the power of it that cuts through the heavy music is not because she's screaming, not because she's distorted, just because it's like a laser beam. And I remember thinking, oh, that, please, yeah, that, please, 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 please. So, and then we got to know each other, and I may have apologized for that. And then I think we started recognizing that we could joke together, and that helped quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked also all the time, like we talked about life, about our kids, and about everything about music. And then, oh yeah, let's record a song. Okay, and then
Oh,
we talked, and then Devin, he always cracks so many jokes, and I had to laugh. And you can't sing when you laugh, so I have to stop him all the time. Like, please don't crack any jokes because I have to sing.
Well, you've
So it's
got,
always super
yeah,
fun.
you've got a lioness voice, and women have lioness energy.
ah,
Women have
yeah,
lioness energy. We will defend the pride. We will,
yeah, that's awesome.
lions are always sitting around preening and fucking sitting around, I don't know, whatever you guys do. Women are off.
That's what I thought. Honestly,
Pride.
if you look at me, I'm sure all the first thought will be all I do is sit around and preen.
Okay,
Clearly,
I'm taking the
clearly.
piss, but it's
Yeah, no, of
important.
course.
Like, you've talked a lot about loving Enya. We've discussed loving Enya. Enya is my interview white whale. Apparently, she doesn't do press. Um, you said with Addicted and Epicloud, you wanted to create a cross between Metallica, Enya, and Def Leppard. And I want to know, for both of you, where do those artists overlap and how are they different? Like, where is the link between the Metallica and, yeah, oh yeah, there.
Devin.
Okay. Well, I just didn't want to be rude and jump into pole position there, but because I never shut up, so I just don't want to be that guy right now. So, but
However,
However,
however, yeah, for me, I think the overlap from any artist that I like is authenticity. It's just got to be because on some level, what you're participating in is the experience of being human filtered through idiosyncratic lenses, whether or not it's Enya and her life experience, or James Hetfield and his life experience, or any of these things. You're able to sort of get a perspective on what we're all going through now more than ever with the internet, filtered through something that adds a vocabulary to an emotion. And I think that Enya, Metallica, maybe Def Leppard on a production sense, we throw Stravinsky in there as well. And I think each one of those artists are representing the
that
word,
works.
the one.
That
Thank you.
works.
Yeah, their own nature, but actualized in a real, like they've gone really far with it. And I think that there's a similarity between all those artists in that front.
Yeah,
He
I
said
think, yeah,
sagely.
for sure.
yes. It's I think that authenticity in an age of AI is going to become even more and more important as things go
Oh
on,
my
because
God.
the
Oh, yes.
the way we are now interacting with algorithms and AI and all of this stuff, this kind of facsimile of reality is, I don't think music's ever been more important, really.
Yeah, but we're now, like, since AI and since music has been created with AI, everybody's always the whole time talking about, like, oh, it's going to fuck up everything, and it's going to overwash everything that authentic artists are doing. But I don't believe that, because I think maybe AI music is handy, easy for certain purposes, or whatnot, to listen to music in shops or whatnot. It's always horrible anyway, so let it be AI music.
Word.
But all people are always in need of real things. So, like in the 80s, then became there came the keyboards and the electronic sounds, and everybody was like, "Ooh, electronic sounds," and we now electronic sounds are just normal, and we include it in the music that we make acoustically, and so every era has a new challenge. We went from vinyl to CD, and everybody was on their heads, and I mean, it's changing all the time, and I realize AI is huge, a huge change. But like Devin said, real things, real emotions, like real voices, real playing is gonna stay forever, and it's gonna be going on and off in waves and so on. But it will be here forever because we're in need, for real music, real emotions, like real movies, real art, real paintings, everything. AI is in our lives, yes, but it's not gonna take over.
It's our little robot assistants. They're fine.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if you can just program in trauma to an AI, because I think that's
See what
I think
happens.
it's, well, honestly, I think that's the only way you'd be able to find anything musically that or artistically that would scratch that sort of intangible itch with people. I think what we're recognizing within an artist's work is they're struggling more so than their their success, right? Because I think that the learning that comes from just landing on your head repeatedly, if you're fortunate enough to not just be a masochist, but if you just keep trying to move forward, whether or not it's trying to provide or whether or not it's trying to create something that's out of reach creatively or anything, I think that process is just so fraught with fits and starts, like failures and learning, that I think is what we subconsciously are participating in when we're listening to an artist. Not entirely, of course. I mean, there's certainly a certain amount of technical aspects of it or production or all this, but I think that there is this intangible sense that human beings can pick up on each other, and I think a lot of that comes from just recognizing how fucked up the artist is and then sort of watching the process of how they navigate the same experience that we're all experiencing on some level, but through that filter. And you're like, oh, right, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
So unless we can program that into an algorithm and then you just get like a bipolar AI or something, which would be fantastic, like
Yeah.
really, really helpful for
Hey,
society.
great bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. I think living through someone's trauma is you get to look at someone who has done something really productive with it and made something beautiful at scale.
Or the opposite. Or the
Yeah. Or
opposite.
what? Or something awful.
Yeah, or just people like, you're invested in someone's self-destruction because it's entertaining, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess that's a point. Well, what is it like this and we'll talk about the Moth because obviously it's coming out and it's important and it's interesting. But what has it been like stepping into, like for you, Anneke, stepping into his quite raw emotional world and being a part of the emotional expression of it? Like, do you guys have do you have like I don't want to say a pep talk, that's the wrong word. How do you get into the mind space of like being a part of an emotional expression that you're contributing to, if that makes sense?
It's Yeah, it does. It does. It's easy in a way because um, Devin is very articulate in his, we all know this, like in his interviews, but also in his way of explaining things and in his lyrics. So when I read the lyrics and when I hear the melodies, I immediately understand where he is going and what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants. For instance, when we worked with from me, um, and so on an emotional level, so we understand each other because he talks about. He's very, Devin, you are very honest about your feelings and about what you go through, and there's almost no filter, which is great because it's great because there's no shame and there's no taboo, so it's easy to get into your like world, and then he knows exactly what my voice is capable of, and he used to know even better than I did in the beginning for sure. And he was like, "Oh, like I want this and this," and I said, "It's too high or too loud or both." and he said, "Yes, you can." And then I did it. So also on a technical level, he has wonderful ears, and he knows exactly what he can get out of me and my voice and and also my projection, and also my my own self. I can put my own self into his music as well. So yeah, it's yeah, not to how do you say? Oh, I forgot the word. Um, uh, it's one of the best experiences musically to record with Devin for that reason.
Well, I guess it's also we're, as hippies, right? We're a Taurus and a Pisces, right? That helps. And I think it's like, I think that what's our way around the emotional intensity of, we just need a safe word, right? Like, you know, we built this studio. It's like three studios, and it's like a spaceship and a Ziltoid lair, and in the middle of nowhere. And it's basically when the pandemic hit, I just started thinking if I can figure out a way to be autonomous, where everything I need to do to create from here on out, everything from the video aspects or the internet aspects of it, or Atmos or mixing or whatever, if I can do it all in house, then no one has any sort of agency over the direction that the music takes, right? So I think that as soon as you're looking to be provided from anybody, they're going to have a stake in it, even emotionally. And I think just moving into the latter part of my life, I'm like, I don't have any time I want to waste, and I don't want to listen to anybody when it comes to, unless it's friends and collaborators and people that I share a creative interest with. To have any sort of external force say, well, you can articulate this vision, but you have to play ball with us in this regard. We built this place to eliminate that, and we're figuring it out on a financial level, but on a creative level, man, it's like unfettered. And I think that maybe both Annie and I share that sort of emotional intensity, or at least the interest in it. And again, it's not from a masochistic point of view. I think where we found our similarity in the beginning is again, it was the kids thing. I think we both our children at that, when we met, were about 6 years old, and there's a continuity among parents and the experience of being parents that I think is hard to articulate if you've not been through it. But if you have, you're just like, oh yeah, this is super intense. Or like, I remember whatever in the prenatal classes on the way out, right before the kid was born. Remember, like on the way out, they said, "Oh, by the way, sometimes kids die in their sleep," and you're like, "What? Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, we don't know why it happens. Anyway, see ya." And then you're just
Fucking
like,
hell.
Well,
yeah, that was sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, right? So it's like they have an obligation to tell you these things, but then you develop this type of hypervigilance, I think, as a parent, where you're just constantly like, oh God, what's next? And I think that maybe that intensity is also where we were able to say, oh yeah, no, I understand this, and you understand this, and blah blah blah.
Well, you think you know yourself until you have a kid.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole new part of you get to know. I used to think I'm like a tough girl, rock and roll, la la la. And then I got the kid, and I'm like every other mother, like, oh, be careful when you cross the streets and so on, and super worried. And I remember, like, to add to your story about like your children dying.
Yeah,
I used when he was just born, he was just an infant. I would be one of those mothers, and I didn't know that would go upstairs and see if he's breathing, and then
totally.
go downstairs and go upstairs again, see if he's breathing, go downstairs. That was the first week. And then somebody like
Totally.
the woman who helps you out in the first week, with all the diapers and the feeding and so on. And she said, and it was really weirdly comforting. She said, when a kid dies in his sleep, like that what you just mentioned, when that
Yeah.
happens, it happens in an instant. So you
Ah,
cannot run that many times upstairs and downstairs that you can avoid this. So it's out of your hands. And that was
that's
I still have, when I think about it, um, that's a thing. It's out of your control. So you can say, watch where you're going when you cross the street. It's totally out of your hands. And that feeling that's fucked up. I'm
Yeah.
fucked up.
still, he's 21. I still like, now he's going out and drinking beers and,
Well,
yeah.
as someone in my 40s who isn't going to have kids, the thing that I've learned, because I've seen a lot from the outside, I will never know the inside. It seems you get this incredible amount of unconditional love that you've never known before, and also undying terror that will never leave you, and constant terror that it's going to die. And you
I think
go,
it's a
Tara.
good
that's
summary.
the twin flame of parenthood.
I think
Yeah.
it's a
I
good
will never
summary.
know that terror. I'm just,
Yeah.
but I will never know that love. So I respect that. And yeah, and you actually said to me when we spoke a long time ago about Epicloud that was about not parental love, but about the kind of love that isn't that big explosion in the beginning, but like real love, like, instead of dopamine, it's oxytocin. They're two different drugs. What has it been like, kind of exploring love in music, in Devin's music, in Devin's world, for you and your understanding of love? And yeah, and especially with Epicloud being not about that romance, being about a longer kind of love, I guess.
I think, Devin, like we all write lyrics, right? But
Yeah.
every artist has a different way of writing lyrics and a different poetry. And I really like, Devin's lyrics because I find something new, in the way he says things that were for the same feeling that I would have and I would write about it. So, it's the same. I guess
Yeah.
it's the same as talking to each other, reading each other's lyrics or singing each other's words. So I guess, a point of view is always a little bit different from, any other artist. So, but apart from the lyrics, I think also Devin's music is super melodic. Even the heavy stuff is super melodic. There's like 200 tracks with different melodics and intertwining and stacking, and in the choirs, in the guitars, in the keys and whatnot. And that, for me, that's also a huge part of his music, and that he transcends what he's feeling and his expression and his expressions of love is through melodies, to be honest, and through his. We didn't talk about Devin's voice yet,
Oh
by the
yeah, we
way.
forgot about that.
So, do you have another hour so we
Yeah.
can talk about Devin's
Let's talk
voice?
about it. Yeah, well, from you're in the room making it. Tell us what it's
Devin,
like right in front.
Devin, you can have a coffee. I can talk an hour about your voice.
I struggle with compliments just in general. So
This is very
I'm
distressing.
I'm I'm recoiling in
Horror.
I'm not in horror, no, in sheepish uh oh, I really, Annie's my friend, and it's awesome, man. I really appreciate it. And I think that, it's interesting, if I may, and I'm not just distracted. I'm not just changing channel so I don't have to hear what you were going to say. But um, I think what we also have going for us, which is good as a unit, is love exists on a bunch of different levels. Like you were talking about with the difference between dopamine and
Tosin.
what is it?
Not
It's
Oxycontin,
better
that's a whole other thing.
not OxyContin, right? That's a different one, different type of love. But I think that what we're able to represent as a team between Annie and I, or any singer that you perform with. Annie sings with a lot of people as well. Is there's a power that comes from platonic love as well that I think is really important, because when you're united in a theme that's coming from a place of like shared experience, you're just bringing two different sides of the same coin to it. And what can be very problematic in that front is if it's intertwined with the relationship side of things. And I think that because Annie and I have had enough time on tour together as friends, hanging out, spending time with each other's houses, etc., we've learned about each other and we've become friends. And so when, it's like when you're with somebody and somebody's like, man, is this ever fucked up? And the other person's like, yeah, right. Like if you can do that musically, or boy, this experience makes me feel, this opening in terms of emotional receptivity or whatever, and the other person's like, yes, I relate to that. Then you can align and become stronger than the one voice. You know what I mean? And it's like, I appreciate so much the fact that people have been that people have wanted me to sing since the beginning, because I never wanted to sing, right? Like it was never a goal. And perhaps the frustration that I feel for having to sing has provided a certain type of energy to the voice that is maybe a little left of center, because I certainly don't consider myself to be like a real singer. I just shriek until they say stop, and then I try not to sing.
Oh, shut up.
That's true. It's true. And I remember even saying to Annie at some point, hearing her sing, going, boy, you really like singing. Like you really, like I saw when we did that cruise, I remember watching your performance and you were doing the Dolly Parton songs and you were
Dolly.
You were just so good, and you just look like the type of person who's like, I love singing. And I was like, what's that like, man?
Yeah, Devin. Yeah, I was just thinking about that show, that boat.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's so true. I love singing. I'm a simple girl. I love singing. I don't mind how many people or how little amount of people or how many, or a stadium or like a living room concert. I just love singing, and I understand what you're saying, Devin, because we talked about it so much about you and your singing, and I said to you, when you have a voice like this, you are obligated to do something, and you have this responsibility to, because I feel your what you say, and you can hear it in your voice, and that makes it even more special, that the fact that you're always thinking about it and and dealing with that kind of struggle almost. But you have this amazing voice and this reach. And the other day, the second time when we were in the studio, in your studio in Canada, I was singing, and I wasn't, there was like one phrase and I couldn't get it kind of quite right. And then you said, okay, I'll do it just so you can hear what you have to do. And you stand next to me and you start singing like fucking loud. And it feels it, because I hear him all the time in a venue and through the mic and in my ears and so. It's like a small studio, and he fills up the room. Like everything vibrates when you start like this big, huge tenor voice. And I'm like, okay, no, so okay, now we.
There's like, well, what's that line? Like, the greatest tragedy is to die with the unsung song. Most men die with the unsung song left inside them.
Well, I think you also get points taken away if you've made too many.
You-
I I wonder,
yeah, you're
you
banned
know,
from heaven. You're banned from
Stop
well,
it.
heaven.
wait, okay, I just wanted to refine this statement a little bit. I don't dislike singing. I like the sound of my voice. I really do. It fits the music. Um, I like singing. I like it when my voice uh, makes people feel things. I mean, I think it's a gift that I don't take lightly, and that's where the stress comes from because I never learned the parameters of what my voice should be doing. I just sang whatever I felt was necessary. And before I met Annie, like I really didn't have many ladies that I sang with, so I had to cover those parts as well.
Mm.
So I would write these songs that are fucking impossible to sing. And then you're booked for a 12-week tour, and then that's the song that people want to hear. And, and it's like you got your balls
Well, she
caught in
was
a
your first lead.
happy puller or something.
She was your first singer
And
to sing lead. Like on
hey,
your, she was the first like female singer to sing lead with you, yes? Wasn't that true? Like you've had obviously a lot of backup, but actually taking that
yeah, I
position.
mean I've had some friends in the
You've had
past
singers,
that sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
did pitch hitting, so to speak,
yeah.
but I never had like a singing partner up to
Mm,
the point where Annie and I had worked. And again, selfishly, because I hope I've been able to define to some degree that I don't hate singing. I just don't like letting people down.
oh yeah, yeah.
So if I go out on stage and everybody's like, "Oh, you know that one song that is impossible to sing?" Yeah, we'd like to hear that at the end of a 2-hour set, 8 weeks into a tour without a day off, right? And then you literally just sound like Marge Simpson, and then people are just
Yeah.
um, well, what happened? And you can't really just add a caveat before you sing a song. You're like, hey, listen, I'm gonna sing the song that you want, but it's gonna eat shit, right? Like so,
Yeah.
so I think that it's the anxiety of not knowing whether or not I'm gonna be able to pull certain things off
Mm.
that makes the experience of the experience of singing really stressful because I do know that when my voice is on point and I'm like able to sing, like and do all the parts, I love it.
Yeah.
I remember Annie and I, we did a show in Helsinki years ago in what I remember as being like a big shoebox. It was this big long tube. And I
Yeah.
remember prior to the show, my voice was just like a total gong show. And then we were warming up and I heard Annie down the hallway just like singing like a bird, right? And I was just, and I'm just in the corner like and I remember thinking that the benefit of having like a voice that, like you had said, can sometimes fill a room, is that same sort of pressure that goes through the old scream tube there is it's really fatiguing, right? And so my stress about the voice and the obligation of singing is not because I don't want to, not because I don't like it. It's just it's so embarrassing to lose my voice on tour, and it happens all the time, right? I remember in LA we did like a monster show, and of course it was like one of these things like if we fit this last show in on the tour after an 8-week tour, you can get this big thing, and it's like, and I was like, okay, I can totally do that. And then we get to the day, and I got no voice left, and I remember just there's press there, they're filming it, there's like it's like sold out, and I had no voice, and I just in that moment when you're up there, there's no feeling that's more like emasculating, I think, than just being like, thanks for coming. The thing that you want me to do, I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, on a good note, just dwelling on what you said before about platonic love, I don't think that's sung about enough, and I think you can feel it in the music you guys have done together. And I think that love can read for people.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's just as powerful as romantic love. I think platonic love has played a bigger role in my life than romantic love. That's a tragedy in some ways, but I think yeah, there's something really in that, and I know you've just done a rock. You're working on a rock opera. I don't know how far along it is, or whatever. But I'd like you to do one about platonic love next. So just put it. I'm just putting it out there. Like, yeah.
I don't even think it needs to be addressed as much, right? I think it almost shines the light on something that it almost makes more of a separation to identify a
Oh, good
friendship.
point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like what I think of it more as is rather than, oh, it's a man and a woman singing together, and as a result of that, it's platonic. It's more just like the human spectrum requires both. And so now we have 4/5 as opposed to 2, right?
Yeah, man.
And that it's like that I think that the energy that comes from that is similar to working on a functional team as well. You know, whether or
Yeah.
not it's sports or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't
And
gonna
I
say
I,
extended, just like platonic love in general. Yeah. Yeah.
I think also if if you have a romantic love involved and you make music together, it can be something really, really beautiful, but it can also cloud
agree.
everything a little bit, bring a little cloud into it. And also, not to mention when that passes or when you fall out of love or whatnot.
Totally.
So that's why I'm also very happy with because and then there's also the reason why we can work for so long, for so many years together, because Devin, luckily we didn't fall in love in all those years.
To safely won't
But
ruin all the songs or not. Yeah, yeah. You're not allowed
although
to. It'll ruin everything.
no, no, I love him.
Well,
I love him, but he
I love you
feels like
too.
brother. Yeah,
Right.
You guys are
Exactly.
so
but it feels
cute.
like, but it feels like brotherly love. I feel it
Totally.
feels.
Yeah.
I told you before. You feel like a brother to me. It's
Yeah.
also you're so far away, um, and it feels like far away family, And then when we get to see each other, when we get to play together or record together, it's all the more wonderful because there's no cloud of
Totally.
drama or romantic drama or whatnot. So that's something
It's
that's really
best friends
nice.
forever. I talk to
And we
I've got friends like that where like this would have exploded at some point. Now we get to be best friends forever. This is great.
well,
Right?
plus we can get together and bitch about our relationships too, right?
That's poetic.
So yeah, we can share that. That's
It's
cool.
poetic.
Yeah.
No, but again, it's like it's like super important to the process because I think, the people that I've known who have made music from a romantic point of view, they get one really cool song.
Yeah.
You know what I
About each
mean?
other.
About each other, and it's imbued with this type of passion and longing that's like incredibly powerful. But then, you only get 6 months of that shit in a relationship, right? And then after that, the next song is strangely about like, why is your socks left out in the middle of the floor or something? You know what I mean?
Totally.
But I think if you're coming at it from a different point of view, you're just like, I remember at one point we were working together thinking like we were in an army. Like if we're going to be broaching topics of emotional intensity that are some of the most ubiquitous emotions that both men, women, and everybody in between are meant to feel, then we've got a responsibility in that regard too, to be direct about it, to make sure our relationship is healthy, to not cloud it, like you say, with things that are just about the people. The whole idea of the music is it's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with any of us. It's about the process. It's about the energy. It's about trying to, sit with some degree of humility to recognize that if you have the capacity to represent something that is like beyond us, then it's not you don't fuck around with it, right? And that's more pointedly about interpersonal things as well. It feels like it's an affront to the process in a sense if you're just kind of like tee-heeing your way through it, right? As opposed to like, man, we got something that we can do together that's powerful, and so here's our objective. The world's fucked up. Let's just do this, right?
Well, yeah.
I'll cover this end of it. You cover that end of it. Okay, we're good.
And then we'll listen.
Yeah.
And we'll clap. We'll clap. We'll clap over
We'll
here.
take it.
It's the beautiful. It's the Holy Trinity.
Clap, Clap and cry.
Clap and
Okay,
cry.
so
We're
that's
clapping, we're crying. There's a lot of response going on. So
Sounds like a corner store.
I'm curious about this new thing, the moth, which you
Yeah.
said is like a bridge between the future and the past. Okay, unlike butterflies, moths have cocoons that are tough, can be tough and leathery, or covered in debris and silk, is something I learned over the week. I felt compelled to find out what a cocoon is like for a moth, and it's gross.
Mm-hmm.
Is the transformation you explore on this record rough and leathery?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gentle work. The idea, the platitudes that I think were provided as a society to help us get through this period of history that is just so fraught with difficulty are useless in many ways. The whole idea of the way to manifest your destiny or the way to find ways through the negativity is to simply think positive. That's what you do, right? I mean, I think it's dismissive of the experience that is required in order to integrate these difficult things. And in order to do that, you have to go into the fire. You have to face yourself. And the process of transformation is not a Hallmark card. It's not a simple thing. To integrate your shadow requires being able to sit and not run from the pain, whether or not that's your family, your past, your trauma, sexually, personally, however that trauma has manifested, it informs decisions every step of the way of the experience of being human. And in order to try and find a way to reverse engineer that, there's no alternative but to go through the fire. And so the moth is, it's a story about transformation, but ultimately it's a dystopian one, because it's not a feel-good process. The end result of it, where you're able to integrate that shadow and you're able to integrate that pain and accept yourself as one of cultivating self-love and cultivating self-compassion. And I think that until such time that you're able to sit with your own pain and your own trauma and like make peace with that, you're constantly going to be repressing the parts of you that you've deemed to be inappropriate for whatever reason. Maybe you were told that a way of interacting or a way of speaking up or a way of emoting when we were younger was inappropriate in some way. But I think that we internalize that, and the only way to get through that is to build yourself a leathery fucking cocoon and then just be like, all right, let's do this. And it's either gonna make things better or make things worse, right? And I think that it's touch and go during that process at certain points as to which way it is going. But fortunately, by having a team of people that I trust, and again, as a sideline, the team of people is such that if there's ever any indicator of the ways in which my life is going, the beauty of the team that surrounds me underlines things are going well. But you put that team together, and then on the other side of it, you're able to sort of walk through that fire with people that you trust. And I think that's what the moth is, and that cocoon.
So is the process of doing the music, was that the healing, or you just expressing
No.
about the healing? Because I was going to say, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I've been dealing with in therapy about the deep well of self-loathing that it turns out everyone has. The ugly, ugly feelings that I've used so many means to run away from. It is very ugly. And I think I'm not alone in that we are all terrified of the darkness within, because it is disgusting and ugly, and people will do anything to avoid it, whether it's be distracted, be caught in endless dopamine loops, drugs, terrible relations, anything we would do to run away. Is this a way to not run? Was this you not running away?
Well, absolutely, but it wasn't the intent, because I think that if you imbue your art with some sort of altruistic intention, like the reason I'm writing music is to transcend or to sit with my darkness or to integrate my shadow. If you're using it as that, I think that's egocentric in a way that is as an artist going to compromise the work. I think and I've said this until I've been blue in the face and will continue to the end of the career, it's the process. The music is nothing. The music is just like taking a shit, you know? It's like you just, at the end of a process, you're like, well, that's the exhaust of that process. You know, whatever it was, it's got an aesthetic, it's got
Yeah.
a, you know, a
There's
chorus or whatever, but
there's
it doesn't
yeah.
matter, man. The
There's a
music
guy,
doesn't matter.
this entrepreneurial guy talks about this. He's like, it doesn't fucking matter what happens to the business or to the idea or anything that happens. What matters is the person you become through the process.
Of
That's the
course,
product. That's the
of
product of the
course.
experience. Like
And then
that.
what you're,
Yeah.
I think what your responsibility as an artist is to represent that process in
Mm.
all its um, frailty as well. I think if you try to cover it up, Photoshop or you know, auto tune, all these things I've done in the past, of course, because you know my insecurity was just so much of my self-worth was invested in music. You know, I was so insecure and so self-loathing for so long that I hadn't sort of clocked how much that in absence of the things that people have given me kudos for, music or whatever, I just feel like I'm nothing. Like I don't count. I'm just, you know, a piece of shit. And when I started recognizing that that was the fundamental kind of psychological process going underneath it, I'm just like, dude, really? For the rest of your life, that's what you're gonna do?
You're gonna
Is
torture
like,
yourself.
well, not only
Yeah.
that, like all this stuff is transient. I could lose my voice, I could lose my ability to do it. I've got a friend who lost his ability to walk, and you know, it's like all these things are possibilities. And to think that you could find yourself in that situation and then think that you have no value as a person, as an entity, is I think where you run that risk.
Mm.
So to actualize your process in real time again is not like an intent. That would be way more brave than I am, right? It's not like I'm thinking, okay, now we're gonna sit with the darkness and we're gonna go through this shit. I'm just like, oh my God, the kid left home. Oh my God, a
I
40-year
hurt.
relationship is breaking up or
I
whatever.
hurt.
And yeah, that's exactly it. And you have no choice. I mean, I remember when we did this Power Nerd record, which was supposed to be done in 11 days and was supposed to be a fuck around record, you know, all of a sudden I found myself alone after so many years and I was so fucking depressed. Like I've never felt like that before. But I wasn't like, oh, I should use this. This would be good, you know?
Put on your
You know what I
shroud.
mean?
You put on your
You know what I
shroud
mean?
and go into the studio and get out your
No,
fountain
I'll
pen.
tell you what the problem with that is I had already committed to this record and I had a deadline of a month and I hadn't written the lyrics yet. So
Not
all of a
ideal.
sudden I'm sitting there going, well, what am I going to write about? And then when you start doing it, you're like, oh God, that's what's going on? Shit. And I guess the only way that you can with any degree of authenticity represent those emotions is by like digging into it and like being it. And so anytime you start doing that and you're not singing about your life, you're just like, I'm full of shit. You know?
Hey, so you've got Steve Vai on this record, yes?
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So you obviously worked together as a very young Devin, a different
Yeah.
Devin, I would imagine. The same Devin, but a different Devin.
Yeah.
How is like looking at him, remembering who you were back then? How did kind of that experience transform you and what is it like kind of imagining who you once were, if that makes sense as a question? I'm just kind of like just pick something from there and go with it. Yeah.
I have spent a lot of time trying to get a sense of why I acted the way that I did when I was in my early 20s. And Steve was the focus of a lot of that. And our relationship has taken a lot of different twists and turns, but on the Moth, as it was rooted in the concept of transformation from the very beginning, him being involved with it was inevitable. You can't sit with your past without including these characters that have played such a major role. And you know, there's people in my life, as I'm sure there has been with both of you, that have been awful people. You know, just like really traumatic, you know, demonic people in your life, but they also had played such a pivotal role in my life in our lives, that to eliminate that kind of thing from your process, there's no closure. And I think both Steve and I have changed so much that when he came here, on a couple of occasions, and we're working through the Moth, it was much less about any musical contribution. It was more about how our conversations manifested as that theme, finding continuity, right?
You're right.
But I've changed. I mean, let's say, have I changed between 19 and 55?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd be worried. I'd be fucking worried
Yeah,
if
I'd be
that
worried
was the
too.
answer was no. What do we want to retain though? What kind of skins do we shed? What do you want to keep? What have you kept?
Annie, what
Yeah.
do you keep?
What have you kept from your
um,
19-year-old self, Annie? Like,
I guess my
Tattoos.
yes. Um, that's so true though.
Yeah,
I gained more. Um,
yeah.
I guess there's three pillars in life. There's life, there's death, it's both inevitable, and then there's love, right? And then it holds everything together. And we experience so many different kinds of love, like motherly love, parently love, and romantic love, brotherly love, sisterly love. And it holds everything together. And I kind of, everything I go through, it all comes back to that, right? Love for nature, love for music, um, and and I try to I try to uh, work things out with this in mind.
hmm,
Uh, because when I feel sad or when I uh, don't know what to do, uh, and you can feel incredibly sad and somber. In the end, it's all about love, right? And so you, I think I hope beyond 80, I will die. I hope I will understand a little bit more about love and about, you know, how how
Ugh.
how do we deal with all that?
and maybe that's the gift. Maybe that's the understand. When you say, I hope I will understand more at 80, maybe that's the gift of getting older.
Yeah,
Is that you start to understand maybe, or yeah,
for
try, or
sure.
you realize all the ways you don't.
Yeah,
Like,
well, there's like I see life like as a rocket, and you kind of shed all these little
yeah,
cannons
Oh,
underneath that kind of fire up, and then you lose all the little fire starters of cannon. I don't know.
yeah,
that's cool.
Um, and then you're in space, and then when you're a little bit older, you're kind of hovering, because in your early years everything is a struggle, everything, you don't understand anything. Now I'm 53, I understand a lot more, and it gives peace.
mm.
um and I find out everything is about love.
That's really
And
beautiful.
yeah, and all those little motors that fall away, and all those little burny things that fall away, it also takes a huge load off.
Mm.
So when I say I want to try to, when I am old, see if I kind of made sense, the whole thing, and understand, that will be nice. But in this whole process of getting older and my life experience, I understand already a lot more, and I kind of embrace um, um, the things that I don't understand and are difficult. And I'm blessed that we have, for instance, the music in which we can think out loud and express, all these things that we are feeling and experiencing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't feel like anything's changed since I was 19 on a trajectory level. Like since the very first moment of my creative life, when I was in a local band in high school or whatever, the intent was always the same and still is. It hasn't changed in the slightest. But I also feel that that's what I've held since I was 19. But man, the amount of just emotional learning that I've had to integrate specifically over the past couple of years. I think that I can only speak for myself, of course, but when I was younger, all the water sort of creates canals in the sand, and the water can just be um, um, tendencies, patterns, whatever. And then you create these defaults that you're like, oh, I react like this. I'm the type of person that reacts like this. And then I think for myself, I've gone through most of my life assuming that the way that I've processed my emotions was like other people or healthy. But it was only recently, for example, that I recognized how much of my emotional life is actually a byproduct of selfishness. I think I realized recently, and I remember talking to a friend of mine, I was like, do you think I'm like, I exhibit signs of psychopathy or sociopathy? Because it seems to me that I'm interpreting how someone feels through the lens of how their feelings make me feel. And as a result of that, I'm never actually acknowledging what people around me are feeling. I'm just like, well, clearly you're sad because your sadness is making me upset. So, you know what I mean?
Oh,
But I
humanity,
think,
man.
but I
Human
also feel
human, eh?
that I also feel that that process of being able to sort of shine a light on how you're doing it and just be like, oh my God, like how long has that been going on? How long have I not been empathetic to the people whom I'm closest to just because I'm so concerned about how their actions are making me feel? And it's an example of something, but I think ultimately the point of it is you reveal yourself to yourself, regardless of whether or not your process has changed.
Mm.
It's just those patterns as you get older, you're just like, oh, okay, I've had enough experience to see how these things play into my interpersonal relationships, and that's where the biggest change is. Otherwise, you would just not have people around you anymore. You'd be
Yeah,
our
it'd
age,
be great.
you'd
You'd be
have
Enya.
no buddies.
You'd be fucking Enya, man. Fucking cats,
Yeah,
castle.
cats.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah, Enya. Enya
exactly.
knows how. I mean, mate, she's probably got heaps of mates. I'm not to diminish her. She's not watching.
Cats, like Annie
Yeah,
just says,
yeah,
just like
no,
she's
cats
living
are
in a
awesome.
castle.
Cats in a
She's living in
castle
a
would be awesome.
castle with 300 cats. It just smells
Yes.
like urine.
Okay. It's interesting. Like when you say people have a front row seat to destruction. Sorry, I'm just
Sorry,
Sorry.
picking up. Yeah, you're
sorry,
allowed to
guys.
laugh.
Hold on that for a second.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to put a mental image of Enya's castle. It just smells like piss. It's like, there's like 300 cats in there. Litter box is upside down. You know what I mean? She's always in a house coat. Doesn't open the door for anybody. You
She
feel
only
shitty about
listens to
herself
black
the whole time.
metal. She only listens to black metal, like
I don't know.
24/7.
Yeah, it's just mayhem coming out of the
Just
top.
nothing but mayhem and really
Yeah,
bad demos, like old
yeah.
like tapes that
That's
are
great.
recorded in the back of a because
She's
she
oddly passionate about it too. She's like, "Oh, this demo actually, this is there's only one of 10 copies here." You know what I
exactly.
mean? Anyway, what you're
Well,
sorry,
this brings
sorry.
me joy. It was interesting. I kind of it stuck on my head earlier. You're talking about like sometimes people want to watch someone's front row to their destruction.
Hmm.
Sometimes people want to be in. Have you felt that in your life where people you think have joyfully
Of
watched
course.
you self-destruct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Totally. I mean, I
elaborate.
think it's well, I mean, without throwing anybody under the bus, I think that it's all fairly innocent as well. I think that if your circumstances put you in a position as an artist where you are struggling, I think that you have two choices in that scenario. Once you've recognized the ways in which you're contributing to the things that are making you suffer, either you recognize it and take steps towards eliminating those things so you're no longer suffering by your own hands, or you accept that the suffering is part of your creative process and you find ways to like
Be productive.
exacerbate it in ways that you can then claim like your life is shitty as a result of it. I've had people who were in my life when I was going through periods that were really not healthy, whether or not it was like personal habits or psychological meandering on my part, whatever, where I just end up in a place where I was like in a really unhealthy place. And I had people around me at certain points that were benefiting from that because I was writing fucked up music and everybody's like, oh, just keep doing that. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, I have the choice at this point of either being a martyr to this energy or taking steps to move past it. And the reason why I would also say that the people who maybe want to not exacerbate that, but like not move that into a more healthy way, is because on some level, even as a society, we can benefit from watching people struggle and then seeing that there's like a financial incentive for doing so. I remember going to see a band at one point, and I remember thinking, oh my God, this is so fucking toxic. Like everything about this band, musically, lyrically, is not coming from a place of health. And not only that, the members of the band are like dying and they're obviously fucked up, but it's super popular. And
Of
it's
course
like,
it is. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like Pepsi's got their thing on the tickets, and you know what I mean? Each one of the members is worth millions and millions of dollars. So what I think society sees from the outside is like, oh, it's okay. Like it legitimizes that on some level.
Ching.
It well, truly,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a goal. It's like I want to be fucked up too. You know, I remember in the 80s thinking, oh man, if you can make millions of dollars being a heroin addict, the amount of people in Vancouver in local bands that just ended up being heroin addicts because everybody in the 90s was like romanticizing, you know, like whether or not it's Jane's Addiction or whatever. It's like, and there's all these people now that are fucking lost. But at the time, we were all in bands together being like, well, what's cool? Like, what should we be doing? So I think that where you run a real risk with that sort of process is if you legitimize something, people are going to be like, I'm already feeling that. So the fact that you can make money feeling that makes it okay in a sense. I think that if you're going to legitimize pain on some level, in my experience, and again, this is only me and I'm not right, it's just my own perspective, but it's like, if you're going to legitimize suffering on some level, I think the suffering needs to be productive on at some point, you
This
know?
makes me think
Otherwise,
of
you're
Kurt
just
Cobain.
like, I'm a heroin addict.
This
You know what
kind
I
of
mean?
makes me
Like,
think about Kurt Cobain. He was clearly on a trajectory, and
yeah, but he was also 27 years old,
I know
you know? Like, he was like 6 years older than Annie's
he was a
kid. You
child.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he was a
He's
child.
so well. I don't know about a child, but I think that the psychological ramifications of that level of fame, when you're already in a place where what is eliciting your artistic motivations is coming from a place of trauma in the first place. I mean, good
Yeah.
luck, right? Like we barely have the tools in our 50s to navigate some of the shit on the level that we're at, which is like, dude, we're like, what is it, lower mid-tier prog metal? Like, it's just not
Shut
Nirvana.
up.
It's true.
But but also if we look at the audience, because we're talking about the artist at the moment, but we look at the audience, there's a big part of the audience is really into um, uh, uh, like the tourism of disaster tourism. So
The tourism
so
disaster. That's great.
yeah,
You guys write
we
lyrics.
love to, yeah. Well, Devin, I'm
Go,
gonna call you later.
go on that. Go on that. I love this. Go, 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 go.
And so and that's also that keeps also these artists on that pathway, because like Devin said, we as an audience also love to see and people struggle also. If you're not making music or not an artist, and so we look at all these bands who are just kind of on a towards a head-on collision with themselves and life, is so that you as an audience don't have to.
Ah,
If we see it, like if it's the same thing about it's the same thing when you're in a traffic jam because there's an accident, and then becomes a traffic uh, in you because all the cars are like stopping and checking out what's going on, and then it becomes traffic because everybody stops and stares at this accident. And I always make a point of not looking at the accident because you're in traffic and you're very slowly like passing the accident, and I'm like, I'm not looking because I have respect for people who are like this in the car, you know. But I think the same thing. We kind of idolize people who maybe dare to make a shit show out of their own life so that we don't have
Well,
to.
life is a spectator sport these days. Most people are spectators, not creators. Like most people are not participating.
Yeah.
Most people are not
And
in the
it's
arena.
fucked
They're
up,
sitting on
eh?
their
It's
phone
fucked up.
going, look at this. Look at
Yeah.
look. That's
Yeah.
that's like the way people are now. Look.
Yeah, because and also we should, we we should, and I know Devin does too, but we have to also make songs, create songs about things that are nice, and the
Really do.
positivity. I'm a huge fan of positivity, and I think it's underrated. I think, it's more powerful to be sad and it's more powerful to be somber, and we all have those feelings, but we have to kind of do our best to let the positivity come up and come in balance with everything else, and positivity, and also um, the 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 fact that we have to learn to move ahead and to look up instead of down. It's a big task because it's very, very easy to be sad and it's very easy to be somber. I used to be somber a lot also when I was, certainly when I was younger. And you have to kind of work. You don't have to work at it to be somber. You have to work at it to be, positive.
Yeah, joyful.
I will say though, and and I totally agree with you. This last year and a half has been on a personal level like really difficult, right? Like as it has been for a lot of people. And I remember in the beginning of it thinking, oh, don't think about that sadness. Nobody wants to hear this. They want to hear, like what we did with Addicted or Epicloud, or where we're consciously fighting against that negativity with a positive sentiment. But I also feel that there's a certain amount of surrender, similar to what you had said about like having kids, that came from profound grief, like a type of grief that I remember thinking to myself up to that point that I could talk my way through any grief. I could get through it. You know what I mean? I just have to think positive. But then when this hit, I was like, no, this is too much. I have to surrender to this. And I remember, like, I went for 50 some odd years without crying, really. And then when I started to cry, Jesus Christ, I couldn't stop. And I remember by the end, I was crying about things that were so wildly inappropriate too, just because my body was like out of practice for it. So I'd see, I'd said this before. I saw like a Tylenol commercial where the guy's got like a headache, and I'm like, a poor guy. You know what I mean? Like, you're at a point where everything's like hitting you on an emotional level. And in that case, I started wondering, is it going to be a disservice to the audience for me to not acknowledge that? To just be like, oh, I'm impervious to this type of pain. Because I also feel that if what you're trying to do is, if your stock and trade is in authenticity, a part of that has to be vulnerability as well, where you're just like, listen, I'm struggling with this. This hasn't been easy. We did manage to get through it. We do have a great team. We do have, these people around us that allowed us to sort of navigate these horrible moments. But to surrender to that was also incredibly powerful, I feel, to be able, not to revel in it, but to be like, I am legitimately feeling this. This is not something that is healthy for me. If somebody passes away, or if you've gone through a separation or something, you can't just be like, hey, everything's good. At least I felt in the past, right? And I know that, man, you've gone through so much shit over the past while there, Annie, as well, right? Like, I'm sure that you would agree that, like, trying to push it away is probably not the way through it, right? The original idea was it was supposed to be a monologue, so that all the aspects of the psychological process were just instantiated by the one person. But then as I started going through it, I was like, I'm feeling like we're missing some of the impact that could come from having another human voice to bounce off. And Lynn, who sings in the band O out of Beijing, I had worked on their record, and she was interested in the aesthetics of the sort of the black and white presentation, and her playing the muse, and although that her character was a part of the main protagonist monologue. Oh my God, this is so pretentious. I started thinking, oh my God, if we could have this line, this line, this line, this line delivered by Annie, that could make the whole thing make sense to me. and also give me some breathing room, because holy fuck, like 72 minutes of shrieking is like what it is. So Annie, I just was like, please, 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 please. And she was like, you got it. And 2 days later, she had the parts. And I don't think there was one revision. I think everything that you did
Really?
was just what, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's how we
loved it.
went.
I loved it. Oh man, it's great music. And I remember a couple of years ago, you already showed me some demo tapes for the
Yeah,
Moth. And
yeah,
we were driving. I was driving you from Amsterdam to our place because you wanted to record something in our studio
that's
overnight
right.
between
I
two
remember.
gigs.
Yeah.
Uh, hardest working man in showbiz. And
Hey.
so I drove him to my house, and he said, "Oh, I'm working on this. I think it's going to be a long, like huge project." And he showed me, and all the way home, we listened to those demos, and I was like, "Fuck, this is
You're like,
going to be massive."
what the fuck's wrong with this guy, man?
Yeah. What's going on in your brain? So, but it's all like, it was only demos, right? I mean,
Mm.
only, but I could hear like properly recorded and the choir and the whole thing. Oh, it's going to be massive. So, I was looking forward to that. And then he asked me to sing on it. So yeah, of course, yeah, yeah.
It's
When
pretty
we were
exciting.
first, I mean, the Moth is again, it's a real dystopian sort of vision for me, but it was one that was necessary and one that I've been not dreading, but anticipating for about a decade. Uh, any sort of quote unquote dread came from the fact that in order to actualize this scale of production, I had so many things to learn, and then just that process of learning is what took the majority of the time. But I remember when I first presented it to Annie, I was like, "It's a dick symphony. It's a symphony about
Yeah.
men killing each other with their dicks, right? And there's going to be this huge like vagina that the men are like in worship of, and I had all these oil paintings that I had Elaran do, and I remember showing it to you, and you're like, cool,
What?
but
Yeah, there you go.
but ultimately it sort of underlines the way the creative process sort of unfolds, because I'll have a moment of creative compulsion where I'm like, oh, it's something to do with an opera. It's going to be dark. It's going to be dystopian. It's got something to do with sex. It's like, all these things. And then I start doing interviews. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And it gets the impression of it being something that you only recognize its nature in the final throes of it. And by the end, I was like, oh, it's about trauma. Ah,
Not
yeah,
dick,
okay.
not dicks.
No, absolutely about
Not
dicks. It's about
it's about dicks and trauma.
Also, dick
100%.
trauma.
It's about dicks and trauma and how they.
I
Yeah.
feel I feel that sexual trauma plays more into the psychology of our society than we give it credit
Oh
for,
yeah,
and I think that
we are
you know
wounded as a society.
100%, including myself. So it
Yeah.
was important for me to be able to sit with that. And so what ended up being like a joke in the beginning ended up being something that by the end of it I was like, oh, that's what this is about. And so it's still technically a Dick symphony, but I think on a more fundamental level, it's about trauma and how sexual trauma plays into our society, men and women, is just because the amount of shame
Yeah.
that is presented with it. It rarely gets talked about, and I think that sexual violence, sexual, like whether or not it's incest, whether or not it's any of these things, it's like it's so much shame involved that people silently have structured these patterns in our lives based on these events, that until you're able to sort of like sit with it, and some people will never be able to because the trauma is too deep, right?
Yeah.
There's no resolution from that, and I think for me, my creative process is so like I feel so fucking dumb, like always, because I never know what I'm writing about until the end,
Yeah, but
and
most
then
people
I'm like,
don't finish anything.
oh,
Devin, you need don't I won't have you say I'm so dumb. Most people don't finish anything. Think about how
well,
many things you finished.
if that's the indicator of intelligence, no, I'm not dumb.
You
But
finished
if
a
if
lot of
the
stuff.
if the indicator of intelligence for me is that you are consciously in fear of your own subconscious motivations, and you've spent very little energy trying to find resolution to that, and then are just constantly suffering as a result of your own process, to me, that's more of an indicator of a lack of intelligence. And man, I fit so squarely into that. It's like crazy. And I keep thinking, oh no, I've learned. But then
No.
by the end of the record, I'm like, oh fuck, it was about that, and you didn't know it the whole time. Damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think also that's exactly what it's supposed to be. Writing lyrics, writing music is the actually the wisdom or anything you have to learn, or how do you want to call it? It comes through you. It's not from you. I think you open up a little door here, and you ask, okay, I want to write, and you ask in a way, give me words, give me music, and it comes through you. A lot of the times I start writing, or I wake up from a dream, or like this in between waking and dreaming stage, start writing in the morning, or when I finish lyric, or when I finish songs, aha, and I think, that's what I want to say, and now I understand my thoughts. It's
Totally.
wisdom, or the answers come through you, they're not from you. That's why they call it a gift. It's
Ah,
given to you, right? And
That's
so
cool.
I always try to trust. Like, it's not. I always think that's the same as you. There, like some people, like, oh, you write nice lyrics, or you make good music, and I say thank you on behalf of whoever, whatever is sending me those lyrics or this music, because and I'm blessed to be able to, to be able to sing it. I received a body that has a voice that I can do this. Um, so I think good musician kind of looks back on what he's written uh, and made, and then learn what he needs to learn, what we need to learn from it,
that's
perhaps.
why the process, I think, is more important than the outcome, you know? It's like some would argue that it's like, do you want to tend to the roots or do you want to pick the fruit, right? But I guess uh but ultimately, if you're trying to eat fruit, you gotta make sure the roots are okay to begin with. So if they're rotten from the beginning, you got to do a bit of tilling, so to speak. But I also firmly sort of fall into line with the whole idea of the collective unconscious to some degree.
Yeah.
And I think more now than ever, as opposed to it being like an esoteric, like we're getting a transmission, like we're an open channel that we're getting a transmission from the other. I think that there's with social media as well, all of us are participating in the same bullshit all over the world, and there's a collective sort of emotional state. Was it what's the term, egregore or something, where it's like it creates almost an entity of its own consciousness based on the amount of people that are just focusing on whatever the issue is, whether or not it's a war or politicians or whatever. It's like there's an energy there, and then as artists, I think that the individual experiences that we have, like, you know, middle class, white, male, bald Canadian, you know what I mean? There's going to
Like a
be
universal
like,
experience.
it's not, you know, it's like it's idiosyncratic. So as artists, we take this sort of information that we're all privy to and we're like, well, this is how it filters through my trip. And so when I think people are either going to like my trip or Annie's trip or they're not, and it's not like, you know, it's not one size fits all, but the people that do are able to, I think, say, okay, well, you're participating in the same shit, and this is how it's affected you. So I relate to what this is because it gives me a voice for something that I don't have a voice for up to that point. And then the process is really like you know where people are gonna take that inspiration from. Maybe the outcome. Maybe I don't know. I'm just talking shit now. I'm gonna have to go in a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta
I
do
probably
something.
should go too. Okay, just okay, okay. I have like a practical question, then like a nice final question. Um,
Perfect.
What's actually in what you said you've got a lot to learn for this album. I'm just curious what's actually involved. There's a chorus, there's an orchestra, there's a maybe a very brief laundry list of the weird things you're doing, and then we'll have a nice other question.
Interpersonal logistics, because in order to pull this off, it required studios in basically 9 or 10 countries. We had a performance in which we were able to sort of capture the Netherlands National Orchestra and Choir, but we had such a limited timeline because there was a certain amount of government funding that went into that because I couldn't afford to do it myself. So in order to pull off the logistics of how we articulate a complicated vision in all these different places, perform it live without a record being done, without the music even being finished, so that you can capture these performances, during which time certain members of the choir were upset by the fact that they had practiced this score of fairly traditional choral arrangements, and then when they show up after practicing it for 2 months or whatever it was, I've got explosions and I'm screaming and there's double kick and there's all this shit. And some of the members of the choir are like late 70s, 80s, and they're just like, I don't want to do this now. So we had to figure out a way. We're like, okay, so what if we record just choir and orchestra and release it as its own bespoke record, which was the solution, and what ended up being the thing that we did. But in order to articulate any of this shit, it requires the ability to work on a team, to be able to communicate effectively enough that when there's problems that arise, which is consistently, you're able to either diffuse that or find compromise that allows you to move forward without just being, I don't have the artistic or financial standing to just like impose my will on everybody. So you have to find ways around these things. And the logistics of doing that made it such that 90% of the effort that went into the Moth was just figuring out ways to actualize this type of vision, right?
Interesting. It's pretty cool you do that, hey. You just come up with an idea and you just make it real. Like, I think that's probably the coolest thing about you. You've done all these incredible things, and they are such often very weird ideas, but you made them real, and people enjoyed them.
Oh yeah, now I've built a studio. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're dangerous.
Holy shit! Now nobody's telling that.
If you're an instrument of war, you'd be trouble. You would have caused some war crimes or something, creative crime.
But at the same time, again, I appreciate the compliment very much, but I can't accept it from the point of view of it being an intentional vision, right? Like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out there and fight for creative freedom. You know what I mean? I'm just a bull. I'm just pig-headed. So I'm like, I'm going that direction, and I'll talk to you when I get there.
Well,
and that's what I do.
I appreciate you both for being really awesome at artist and human.
You too.
At artist and human.
Likewise.
Can't do the words. But I had a final question, which is, how do you think knowing each other, experiencing each other as creative collaborators has changed each other? How has, like, Anneke, how has Devin changed the way you see your voice or approach things? Or, what has there been any alterations in the force? Because it's that young thing, if there's any kind of reaction between two substances, both as transformed.
I guess he made me believe in my abilities, my vocal abilities, and in how to write songs, how to write structures, melodies, how to stack melodies, vocals, but especially, so that's the technical thing, but especially to believe in what I can do, what I'm able to do, vocally and musically. I learned a lot from just being in the studio with Devin and talking about music and singing together. For sure.
Awesome.
I think we're in relationships in life, like, you have a partner, either you're married or your husband or wife or what have you, and that has, a certain type of emotional weight and parameters that is, that's what it is. It's like, oh, there's my partner, right? But I've always thought that Annie and I have been connected on some other plane since the beginning. So in a sense, even though on the physical plane, of course, we're friends and we live in different countries. When we get together, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my partner here when we're doing this type of music. And so there's like a sense of solidarity that I feel when I'm singing, that I feel like I have support from her when we're singing. Like when we're up on stage, I sing better when Annie's on stage than when she's not. Because I feel like, I remember that day in Helsinki, I remember being like, Annie, I can't, oh my God, like my voice is so fucked up. And you're like, you got this, I got you. I'll sing this part if it's too high. And I remember being like, I remember when I finally got up on stage and sang, I actually had a voice. And had I not had the support of like a vocal partner there, I probably would have believed my own negativity. And I think that the strength that I have gleaned from having a vocal partner, specifically with this type of music where it's like demanding in terms of the intensity that is required in order to articulate that vision, has been something that's just been invaluable. And also when I get to the point where I'm making music or I'm making a song or making a record that is really emotionally intense, I'm always like, Annie,
Help.
I'm doing more fucked up shit. What are you doing next week?
At your service.
And
Always, always.
that's a beautiful way to end it. Well, thank you for this is We Wreck Records, the new era where we see what happens when we bring incredible artists together. This is Devin Townsend. This is Anneke. Thank you very much, and may the dark forces be with you.